Today on Homeworthy, we're touring the San Francisco Victorian Townhouse of interior designer Sonny Kearns. While pointing out the enviable original architectural features in his home, he gives us a masterclass on how to mix modern and antique furnishings in a way that feels timeless and intentional. You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. By clicking the join button below, you not only support the production of these videos, you also gain access to exclusive content just for members. And today, our members will get a look inside Sonny's glamorous and curated guest bedroom.
Hi Homeworthy, I'm Sonny Kearns and welcome to my 1890s Italianette here in San Francisco. So we just kind of stepped into the first room off of the hallway, and we're going to peep into there in a second. But this is it's kind of where we entertain the most. And so we definitely do spend a lot of time in here. It's a very large, double-sized living room with a dining area. If you come over here, you kind of see what makes San Francisco iconic, in my opinion, is these bay windows. It's kind of interesting because even new builds have to have this feature now because it's iconic to the city's landscape. And it's so beautiful on a sunny day. You can kind of look out, see the street pass. We live just around the corner from the Painted Ladies, which are the iconic San Francisco row of homes. And so you often see the tourists coming past, and it's nice. You know, you feel like you're in the midst of everything, which is really quite cool. So this is sort of where guests sort of first walk in, and this is really nice because it's an intimate area. My partner and I am friends. We have coffee in the morning, martinis by night, often where I stumble back up the stairs because it's so close. But I'll show you some beautiful things about this space more specifically. Now, what I'd say about this room is actually, you know, it's typically Victorian. It's where sort of back in the day, 100 years ago, this home was built in 1890. It's where guests would have come in at first before they went into the dining room for dinner. And it's actually pretty narrow, and kind of when you're working in a space like this, you have to really think about the design and what you put in there. You'll notice I don't have so much furniture. I haven't filled it with furniture because I want people to be able to move around, have different conversations. And so as I said, you can kind of see the beautiful bay windows. One of the things I'd highlight in this room is the architectural detail. We were really fortunate because it's kind of made the design easy in some sense. All of the details are original from 1890. We sort of renovated them slowly, really brought them back to life. You can see a lot of the molding into the windows with intricate roses. I replicate that with the flowers I choose because it's important to me. But I just love the detail that, you know, Victorian design put in. That you just don't see in modern homes anymore. You know, things like the curves of these walls and these little details, they're actually really hard to do. And so to be able to move into a home and restore these different pieces is sort of a dream of mine, so I love it. One of my favorite things that I'll show you in the house is this Pierre Jeanneret style chair. Actually, when I first bought it, it had a boucle fabric, don't judge me, because I know boucle is getting a bad rep right now, and it was white as well, which I know neutrals aren't necessarily the thing of the current. So I reupholstered it in a House of Hackney fabric. You'll notice throughout the house, I really lean into nature. I love nature, I love what it does to a home. And so it was really important to me to kind of bring that element into here. And I just love it. It's like a painting and very comfortable, I have to say. After a long day of work, I wish the fire still worked. I would sit here all day. My dog sits here, which makes me upset because he drools. He's an English bulldog. And so I'm constantly having to come through. But hey, that's the joy of having beautiful pets, I guess. You'll see here is our fireplace. We haven't restored this yet. So you're kind of seeing it in its raw form. What you've got to remember is that, you know, this fireplace has really stood the test of time. We've had 2 earthquakes in San Francisco. This home hasn't had any repairs since then, since those 2 major earthquakes. So you get to see some of where it's moved, which I really love. You know, I I love history, and I'll tell you more about the history of the home as we go through it. But I just love to see the cracks. Call me weird, but I like to think kind of what the homes experience, those different sort of moments. And I think it's really beautiful. So eventually it'll be fully restored back to its glamour. But for now, I love it. I think it really sort of shows. And, you can see the intricate nature of the fireplace with, these different elements, the different shells, these different pieces that were, I can imagine, really hard to carve. And I think that's so beautiful. I love the craftsmanship. It really inspires me. I think this mirror gives you an indication of the ceiling height in these rooms. Another feature of Victorian homes that I love. I've really spent much of my time renovating mid-century homes, which are far different. They're a different aesthetic. These homes are very sort of large from a ceiling perspective, 13 feet ceilings. I have the longest Swiffer in the world to try and clean these. It's become a hobby of mine. Don't hire me, I'm not for hire. I do it just for my own home. But essentially, it's really high, and you can see how we've tried to play with that height with this mirror, which is from Restoration Hardware. It gives a nod back. I'd love an antique mirror. I've not found the right piece yet. So maybe when you come back, you'll be able to see kind of what we do with this space. But it gives you an indication to it, to really sort of bring that home in. I do want to show you my fabulous sconces, and I'll tell you why they're fabulous. These are Murano, but believe it or not, these came from the Venetian Hotel in Las Vegas. It kind of makes me still feel like that party person that I was 10 years ago. The fact that I have this, I can't imagine the stories that these sconces have to tell on some of the things that go down in Vegas. But I guess that's the saying. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Not anymore, because I'm going to get these lights talking to me. But I think they're so beautiful, super glamorous. You'll see in the house, I collect Murano. I am a Murano addict. My friends tell me I need to go to Murano therapy. But I love, once again, the craftsmanship. The same thing you see in the fireplace, you see in the intricate nature of the glass. And this is just another beautiful example. Not vintage, about 22, not antique, sorry, about 22 years old, but still just as gorgeous. This painting actually was in my partner's great-grandmother's home, and I love that. You'll see I go from modern to grandma pretty quickly, and I just love those elements. Still original frame, really stood the test of time, and I love that moment to really honor his grandmother in our dream home, which has taken a long time to kind of get to. So I think that's really beautiful. You'll see here this sort of velvet couch. It's curved. It really plays new sort of shapes into the room. It gives it an interest. It's velvet. The dog loves it. This is his favorite spot because towards the middle of the day, the sun comes in, and he's a sunbather like me. He grew up with me, so he's learned from the best. And so, this too, velvet's hard to kind of maintain in that element, but I don't mind. My dog gets to go everywhere. It's a home we live in. I really wanted to play into the curve of the sofa, so you can see this Jake Arnold Crate and Barrel coffee table, kind of playing into that curve, really accentuating it, which is super important to me. I did miss one thing, which is my favorite thing, and I apologize. It's this planter in the window. This has a really funny, sedacious story to some degree. It actually came from Senator George Shultz's house. His wife actually had it in her office. It is a Japanese censer. It's about 300 years old. And so what they would have done back in the day is put sand, of course, and then incense outside a temple. And I think that's so beautiful. I love these little guys holding it up. One day I will be that size in, I don't know, whenever, maybe when I'm 60. I'm going to live my life fully and not diet. But I think they're absolutely stunning, and I love what this does to this space with these beautiful tropical plants. I can't wait for this to fully grow and just kind of be in this tropical garden. Very Victorian. Victorians love their plants, and so I'm really giving a nod to them by kind of having these. Except I'm cheating, because these are easy to maintain. You just pop the water in the pot, and you leave them for a month and they grow. And I kind of like that element, so that's good. So we can continue kind of walking through. You'll see one of very many Murano chandeliers in our space. This one I absolutely love. It's by Barovier, super delicate, not massively detailed. You'll see some of the other chandeliers in the home are. And I really wanted this space to feel airy, to feel open. Guests come in, they can move around. It's not, there's not too much in it. And that really plays into this chandelier too, that clean, airy nature of it, which I really love. It's a showpiece for me. It's actually it was my first Murano chandelier I bought, and so I'm very attached to it. It's missing an arm, but you'll never know. Well, you know now, I've told you. But it's my favorite one, I promise. And I'd care for your thoughts as we go through and you see the different chandeliers. Maybe you'll choose one that you think is your favorite, but this is mine, which I love. So if you come in through here, you'll kind of see we collect a lot of art, and actually we support a lot of up-and-coming artists. This artist is very established, Dean West. He's going to kill me for saying this, but I think we've become friends now. Maybe I can ask for a discount. No, you never ask an artist for a discount, let me give you that. But it's shot in Palm Springs. It's very David Hockney inspired. It looks like a painting. It is a picture. I always laugh with my partner that I'd love for this to be me and that to be him, but it's probably the other way around. But I just think it's so stunning. And you know, to come into a space like a Victorian, it changes your expectations of what it can be. You know, to see this modern photograph with just above these really intricate details. I love it. I think it really plays into something a little bit different. Okay, you can see my Murano addiction continuing with this beautiful palm tree lamp. I purchased this from Italy. I won it at an auction. I'd had one too many martinis and I saw it and I thought, wow, that's such a good price. I didn't know it would cost thousands to ship, but whatever, we're here now and it arrived in one piece. But I love it. Scared about it being here because, you know, people sort of might walk into it, but I adore it. You can sort of see how intricate these pieces are. And one of the things with Murano, lights and fixtures and those pieces that make it unique is every piece comes apart. And so this whole lamp essentially is formed of many tiny little pieces. And so it's easy to transport. It's also just so gorgeous. All of it hand blown. You can kind of see the bubbles, these leaves. It really leans into some of the palm trees you see over here. I really wanted nature to form a major part of this room, which I love. Back to the architectural details of this room. Just look at how beautiful you know, this molding is. It's really hard to replicate this, and I gotta tell you, when we moved in, really the house hadn't been touched much in 80 years, but these beautiful details had really stood the test of time, and I just love it. You know, I don't know if you can see close up, but you can see fruit and those different bits and pieces in it. Just absolutely stunning, and it really separates the room. A friend of mine had said, why didn't you turn it into 2 rooms? And I just could not do that. I think it's so stunning to have this grand entertaining space. I'm so lucky and fortunate to have that. But I think this is such a beautiful element. Another part of the architectural feature that I love in the home is these doors. I mean, you just don't, I know I keep saying it, but you don't see things like this anymore. You know, look at that temple-like structure on top of the door with the little gold detailing. I painted that gold. My arm still hurts from doing that. I think I sweat copious amounts of buckets when I was doing it to try not to get it on the white. But it had to be. I wanted that tiny little bit of glamour. I'm from the East End of London, and if anyone watching is from the East End of London, we love a little bit of glitz and glamour. And so I had to bring that into this door, but I just think it's so beautiful. Actually, a friend of mine who owns an antique store here in the city said there's a lot of references to the Freemasons in this house. And so you can kind of see that temple-like structure within the architecture, and I'll show you some other elements where you see that too. But I just think it's so stunning to have details like that instead of just a plain door. Makes cleaning a little bit harder, but you know, I got good at it now. I could start my own business. But I just love it. I think all these different curves in the door are just absolutely stunning. It's one of my favorite things. It made my life so much easier as a designer to come in and just design the space because the architecture told me what to do. It gave me a blueprint, which I absolutely adore. Let's pop over here because I want to show you the loves of my life. I don't have kids. Well, I do. I have fur babies. And so this is their portraits. I always imagine my sister has one child. I've got like 15 different nieces and nephews. They come every year. I know all their names, I promise. And so I wanted to have pictures of my kids up here. And so you can see my 2 cats, my little bulldog, the slobber monster as I call him, Elvis, he wiggles his butt. That's how he got his name. But I really wanted that to be a feature. This home has to be a representation of me and my partner, and these guys are a massive part of that, and I absolutely adore them. More Murano. I know what you're going to say. This is a beautiful Murano gold lamp. I love gold in this room. I really wanted to kind of run that through the house. You'll see it. And I think it's such a beautiful piece of work that I absolutely adore. This table is sort of a French antique. I love these tables that connect to the wall. You'll see them a lot in the house. I think they provide kind of an extension of the architecture in some senses, and really kind of provide that interest. Look at all the intricate wood that you kind of see here, the little detailing. That was all carved by hand. And you can imagine the kind of patience and the love and the care that goes into it. And so I see it as a duty of mine to bring these forward into kind of the next decades, the next years, for other people to enjoy. So I definitely love to look at this. More Murano. We won't go into it too deep. A beautiful Murano Barovier Entoso picture frame, one of the biggest I've ever found, and such a beautiful element. I really love big frames. I love to show off my family. A lot of designers don't often encourage lots of photos of family and things like that. It might be a bit cliche, but I love it. These are the people that inspire me. They push me every day in life, and so I want them to be there every step of the way. They're back in the UK, and so being here in San Francisco, I need those constant reminders that they're there. So they get the biggest frame in the house, which is important for me. So I'll pop over here, and this is where you kind of see where guests in this room would go from that kind of cozy cocktail couch into our dining area. I really love to mix modern and old. It's my kind of style. I love it. And so this table is sort of from Beau Concept. We've actually had this table for about 7 years. I really like to try and keep furniture. I hate furniture going to the landfill. And so if I can make a piece work, I'm going to make it work because it's really important to me to do. And so a large dining table. I'm hosting a murder mystery night tonight here. It's roaring 20s prohibition theme. So if you came back later, you'd see me with a mustache, a wig slicked back because I've got no hair anymore, a white tux. My partner's going as a French maid, don't ask. But you'd see all sorts of things in here. And that's the great thing about this space is you can really entertain in it, and I love it. You see kind of these mid-century chairs. Sort of, we've had these once again for around about 7 years. And as I said, I love to mix different eras. They can really work together if you really lean into it and really consider it. And so actually this table was sort of gave us that sort of design idea for the rest of the space. We really wanted to make it work. We didn't want to throw it away or sell it. It was important for us to kind of keep. If you come over here, you'll see these beautiful pictures. Would love guesses on what those are, but I'll tell you. These are actually bus signs from the UK. And so if you remember back in the day, I do sadly, when bus conductors would have to manually turn to the destination, this is what those are. So you can see Swindon, anyone from Swindon, whoop whoop, Bishop's Cleeve and Cheltenham. And so I think it's really cool to have these elements. They connect me back to my home, you know, and all the journeys that these would have been through. And once again, they're really big, so they help accentuate that kind of ceiling height, you know, and I absolutely adore it. We have another one over there that says, sorry, not in service, and I often put that as my background to work, so people get the message without me being too direct. And so more Murano here. This is a beautiful Scavo Murano. This technique actually is no longer, you're no longer able to produce because of the chemicals used in the process. So these pieces, few and far between. And I actually found this one at a little thrift store. I actually offered more because the guy was selling it for very less. And I thought, no, I can't scam you here. I'm not that kind of person. But I absolutely adore it. You'll notice in the house that, you know, while the walls are white, I love to add color in the accents. You know, I think color is important. In this sort of space, it doesn't have a ton of light, a lot of light at the front, not so much light at the back. So you got to lean into that from a paint color perspective. But I still want to meet my color, sort of the color where it is. And so this is just a beautiful piece. I love it. It's so grand. Another little English bench. I have a lot of English antiques. I got to do my grandmother proud. She'd want me to have English antiques in here. And so this is a beautiful dining bench. I've not refinished it because I just love the bruises. I love the different elements in it to really sort of tell you a little bit about the past. And so this is great. I love to kind of mix it up with chairs and dining bench to give that dining table a little bit of interest. And so this I often sit in, lay down in at the end of the night, wake up in, you tell me, but I do love it. I think it's absolutely stunning. Once again, as I said, you'll see a lot of the tables sort of extending from the wall. This is from the Expert, and I just love it. I'm a marble addict too. I love marble, and I love different kinds of marble. I will never say this one right. I think it's Emperado, correct me, but I just love that brown detailing. And this is a beautiful sort of ceramic piece that I purchased from Selfridges in London. And I love that kind of wonky nature of the two different ears. I love pieces that create conversation. It's really important to me. So finally, I want to tell you about the lady in my life. I have a few. I have my mother, my partner's mother, my sister. If I've missed someone, don't hate me. This is Mary, Queen of Scots. And actually, it's I think it's about 200 years old. It's been restored. You can kind of see some of the restore here. I got told it's Mary, Queen of Scots. I've done a lot of research. I'm not sure about that, but I am a fan. I've always sort of been interested in British history, particularly going back to the Tudors, the Stuarts. Mary, Queen of Scots was one. And so I just love her being in this house. I think she had a lot of grave injustice as a woman in the era, but she showed a lot of bravery, resilience, and really pushed for that. And so I absolutely adore having her here, sit here in this space. And you'll kind of see, I mean, you have this really old painting of Mary, Queen of Scots, just above this really mid-century Paul McCobb piece, which is my style once again. It's really important for me to bring antiques and moderns together because I want antiques to have a life. You know, I want them to have a long life, and if I can inspire people to bring antique pieces into their home, even if it's a modern new build, I've done my job, because I think it's important we preserve these pieces. These are real historical pieces that are critical to kind of maintain. So the final piece I'm going to show you in this room before I show you my grand reveal, and you'll see what I mean by that in a second, is one of my favorite Murano table lamp. Okay, I said that's my favorite Murano chandelier. This is my favorite Murano table lamp. It's just stunning. You know, I can't tell you any more about this. It's got the most beautiful neck in gold. It's almost jellyfish-like in some senses, which I love from the base. It's just stunning. And all the bubble details, the height of it, it really glows. It's a special piece to sort of sit in our dining room, and I absolutely love it. Okay, you ready for the next room? So these are original pocket doors. I'll tell you something, the previous owner was an artist, and he would often host theatre productions in this house. And so you can imagine the guests would sit in this long room, and then sort of you would reveal the stage. And these doors are just so beautiful. They're heavy, they're thick. It's definitely something we will preserve because we love that nature of kind of separating the rooms. You know, back in sort of 1890 when this house was built, this is where sort of the dining room was. So I think I mentioned that I changed some things about the house. I moved the dining room into here to kind of maintain one space for the guests. Because in modern age, we love the TV. I'm a big Real Housewives fan. Shout out to Erica Jane, Sudden Strack, all those different folks. Dubai, if you've not seen it, phenomenal. And so this is where I spend a lot of my time, in truth, when I'm not entertaining. So you can come into our living room. And one of the things I hope that you notice straight away is the wallpaper. I adore wallpaper. And actually, you know, it wasn't used so much for many decades. And I'm so excited to see it kind of returning to people's homes because it is a live painting in some senses. You know, if you come over here to sort of these elements, you'll see this wonderful, beautiful mural. This is a mural of the French countryside. It kind of makes me feel like I'm in the French countryside often. And, you know, this room doesn't have so much light. You know, it's got our garden to the right. It's got the street to the left. And so I think you can kind of transport yourself in some senses with the wallpaper that kind of exists in here. And I just love it. It's by Ballart Studios, a Swedish-based wallpaper company. You're going to see a lot of their wallpaper in our home. It's just so great. And shout out to my wallpaper folks, because you can't see a single seam unless you go super, super close. So that helps it feel really sort of fluid in the space. So I sort of call this my nod to Victorian modern, my nod to the roaring 20s in some senses. This room, it's cozy, it's warm, it's got sort of beautiful sort of different features within it. The first thing is my sort of Italian velvet sofa, plush, pretty large, although if you saw my dog in it, you'd think that's tiny, because he's 75 pounds of muscle, and yet he lies in the most weird directions, and so takes over the whole space. But it's so cozy to kind of have this really here, more Murano in the background. This is a polyhedry sconce. In fact, there wasn't a sconce there, and so this is my most proud DIY moment. I sort of wide it up, I put a plug in it, tiny little hole in the back, and it automatically comes on, which I think is my proudest. I can share with my dad that I did something from a DIY perspective, and I think he'll be pretty happy with me. At the background here, I'm sure you noticed, this is an antique Japanese screen. This is about sort of 250 years old. I originally had it up on the wall, and then when we had the wallpaper done, I still wanted it to be part of this room, and so I laid it here on the floor. And I think it kind of adds that 3D dimension, which I love. I love the gold. I told you about that, East London. And so I really wanted to bring that element to here. I love that you can see imperfections in it, where it sort of stood the test of time. And I think it's so gorgeous. It's also very functional. And I really believe in design, style must meet function. You might be asking me, how is it functional? I hide a lot of things behind here. So dog toys, I've got a little bar behind there too. It's not really a bar, it's just bottles of alcohol, but let's call it that for what it is. But it creates a moment, and it helps the room feel more cozier because it kind of closes you in, which is really lovely. So this is my piece. I also love the fact that the birds replicate the birds up here, so it really connects with each other. And once again, leans into that nature that I really wanted from this home. I wanted to bring the outside in, and I did that with the wallpaper and elements like this. So as I said, my style ethos is color should be part of a design, but let's do it in moments, let's do it in pops. So I have these beautiful blue velvet swivel armchairs from CB2. I love that they're super functional. They really add that beautiful pop of color, which I love. And these kind of dictated that blue nature of this room. You can see it in this beautiful light, almost lava style, if anyone remembers the lava lamps. Back in the day, I love that element. This is one piece of hand-blown glass. It's super heavy. I'm not sure how they got that blue element in there, but I think it's so beautiful and really ties into this sort of space. Another original fireplace. This one has its summer cover, which is a really nice touch. You can once again see that detail in the Carrara marble, just that hand carving to really create a moment. I love that. I think, you know, it wasn't just let's throw 4 pieces of marble on there and call it a fireplace. Let's really delicately create a moment, and I think that's absolutely stunning. Now, I know Jenna Lyons, who's one of my favorites on The Real Housewives of New York, said you should never have a TV above the fireplace, particularly a frame TV. Jenna, I had nowhere else to put it. Please don't hate me. And this is our TV room. And yes, I have a fake piece of art on it right now to show all of you, but I actually think it looks pretty good. There really isn't, you know, if you look around, I call this the house of many doors. If anyone's been to the Winchester Mystery House in the South Bay, San Jose, that house has doors that leads to nowhere. Same here, we have so many doors, and so not so much wall space. And this is our room. This is where we come to relax. We don't often have guests in here. If we do, we're playing card games or Uno. I didn't know there was lots of international rules for Uno, so I go by the UK rules and get in trouble. I get accused of cheating by my partner when I play, but this is kind of our snug. And so anything kind of goes in here. You know, it's not precious. You'll notice that I have a white Moroccan rug, super, super cozy, kind of adds to that element, so soft on the feet. All of our pets love it. Our cats lay there for days, particularly when the sun comes in from the windows. And I think that's sort of adds to that really cozy element. Okay, here you'll see my showpiece. This is a beautiful antique Murano chandelier. I don't know if you can see all of the details here, but just the degree by which they crafted this, individual tulips kind of sort of circle around the chandelier. You've got these dramatic leaves coming down. Once again, this all comes apart, so you could easily put it in a suitcase, I promise, because it's just it's so practical to really move and to preserve and those different elements. And you know, given that this is our snug, I really wanted glamour. I wanted it to be ornate. I wanted it to be a moment, that old Hollywood glamour, and I absolutely adore it. You can see some of the crown molding too on the ceilings. It's got fruit, it's got vegetables. This would have been the dining room, so I can imagine they tried to connect to that to some degree. And just stunning. I want to preserve these for years, I promise. Actually, this house was put up on a prominent Instagram account when it was being sold, and it got thousands of comments from people saying it's going to be torn down, it's going to be, all the character will be taken out. My message to those people, it won't, I promise. It's really important to preserve this home. 1892 earthquakes. The city wanted to build modern houses and tear these houses down to make way for apartments back in the 70s. No way, we've got to preserve it. It's really important. It's a beautiful Italianette. And so all of these different features, I promise, will still exist. You can come and check me in a year to make sure, because I love them. I'm personally attached to them, which is really important. One final thing I'm going to show you in this room is this china cabinet. Now, I won't open it because it's a state, but this would have been kind of where they put their china. I've not restored this, so you're seeing it in its real raw form. The only thing I did is I added these antique mirrors to it. It was clear glass before. I have a real issue with clutter. I hate to see it. And so that's why I kind of wanted to put these mirrors into here. In fact, this is PVC, would you believe? I spray painted it. So I spray painted mirror, I sprayed some vinegar on it, spray painted black. So it's not as reflective as a typical mirror, but it's 1/10 of the price and a really easy solution that anyone can add into their home. And you can see it's pretty glamorous. I love it. Once again, you kind of see all these ornate features they would have put. This bit up here is where they would have had a bust. I'm still waiting for my partner to give me a birthday present of my face. So I can put this up here. So whenever he's in here, he'll know I exist. But he's not quite done that yet. So for now, I'm still on the hunt for an antique bust. Anyone knows one, please give me a shout, because I think that would really finish this cabinet off. So now I'm going to take you back into the hallway, where all things begin. We just restored the hallway, so you'll be able to see kind of what it kind of looks like. It still has the original floorboards, which we kind of refinished. And so if you kind of come into this space, you'll see this grand hallway. I love it. From these double doors in, this is a traditional San Francisco home, so you have those step-ups into the space. This door is not restored. I know it needs to be restored. You can still see an animal from 100 years ago who scratched at that desperately to get at the mailmen. I hear that's a thing in America that they tried to do. So I can imagine that's the story that I'm telling myself every time I leave the house. Just gorgeous. I mean, yes, it's in its raw form. Yes, it needs to be restored. But this is my message to all of you. Don't worry about it. Take your time with it. Be patient. Really lean into the home so that you can determine what to do with it, because that's the most important part in preserving old homes, is to take your time. It's not a rush. It's not a marathon. This is your home. Let it be what you want it to be. And so I love these. I often open these double doors. We have porch parties with our neighbors. I found a really great community here. I moved to the US 6 years ago. I never thought I'd live in a home like this. I would walk past these homes and be like, wow, I wonder who lives there. Now I do. And you know, I just love that. I'm so in love with this home, probably a bit too much. But kind of you walk into this foyer. Now this is a rather slim hallway. And so, you know, within any slim hallway, you've really got to think about the furniture that you're putting in here, not to overwhelm it too much. You know, I could probably put a rug here, but I've not found the right one yet. That's me taking my time. I never want to buy the wrong thing because I hate anything to kind of be mass-produced, reproduced over and over for the sake of my own design. I want to take my time with it to really make sure I love a piece. So this is an antique English bench. As I said, my grandmother told me you must get some English antiques in the space, and so this is one of those pieces. I put new handles on it. I did refinish this piece because it was really important to me. I love the chevron pattern that's kind of in there. It's one of those pieces that you'd probably expect something grander as soon as you walk into the house. I like to surprise people. It probably belongs in a cottage somewhere in the Cotswolds, but it's in this Italianette, and I love that it kind of sits there with pride. That's really important to me. Now these lamps are crystal. They actually came from one of the oldest antique stores in the US. I can't remember the name, which is terrible of me, but it's the oldest antique store in the US based out of New York City. And so it's French by design. You kind of see that hand-cut crystal all the way down. It's almost column-like from the Roman era, which I love. Once again, more gold. Hey, don't hate on me. I love the glitz, I love the glamour. And I've really tried to tie that gold into sort of all the other elements, the mirrors. You can see this antiqued mirror with the gold splatters all throughout. And so you probably see here a foot sculpture. Don't ask me, I won it at auction. It arrived. I get a lot of odd questions about what I'm into when people see these spaces. I just love it. I think it's surprising when you walk through the door to see a foot. That's the first thing that greets you. Maybe it's a reminder too that people need to take off their shoes. I know I don't have my shoes off because these deserve to be seen, but I think maybe it's a reminder. People are like, clearly this is a no shoe household, which is great. The first thing you do see when you walk through the door though is this grand, beautiful staircase. Actually, when we walked in this house, it wasn't in this state. We've slowly restored it, as I said. Sort of when you walked into this house 8 months ago, it was entirely covered from ceiling to floor with wallpaper, really old wallpaper, around about 110 years old. And it pained me to pull that wallpaper off, but it was dark. It was falling off. We weren't able to restore it. And so we pulled that down and just sort of opened it up, and sort of painted it in a really neutral color. You might say, why didn't you go dark? Why didn't you choose color? It really doesn't have much light in this hallway. And so I wanted to ensure that we bring that light throughout by going really neutral. Also notice the wood. The wood is really dark. And so you can go one of two ways with dark wood. You can, lean into it and go really dark yourself, or you can make a moment of it, let it stand out. And that's what I wanted to. Same sort of detail that you saw in the living room, that kind of structural, that sculpture style molding in the doors. I think it really adds to the grandness. And look, I'm 6'2", so you can imagine how tall these doors are. As I said, Swiffer's my best friend. Actually, one of the things I do want to highlight in this room is this mural on the top. You'll see how I tried to paint around it and then stopped. Yes, I failed, but I got told by an artist friend of mine that you almost need to be Michelangelo style kind of painting, laying flat on scaffolding to do it. Because I got to tell you, I think I had an arm injury for a month from trying to paint this. But this actually is original. And so you'll see two heads at each end. And in Roman numerals is the year the house was built. It kind of has those Roman numerals to kind of link into when the house was built, those years. And I love that. You could just paint over it. You could save your arm and not try to go around with a tiny little paintbrush. I didn't want to do that. Eventually I will hire professionals to kind of come in and redo it. In fact, I was talking to an artist friend of mine. There's two prominent gay figures here in the city, Harvey Milk. I'm sure many of you have heard of Harvey Milk, and I'll tell you many stories as we go through the house. And Heklina, who was an incredible drag queen. They would often come in this house. They would come for parties, they would come for political talks. Heklina filmed the Golden Girls, but the drag version, not the real version, in this house too. And so at one stage I was thinking, wouldn't it be cool to kind of get Harvey's face, Eklina's face here, to really connect into the gay history, because this home has a lot of LGBTQ plus history in it, and I'll tell you more about that as we kind of go through. You'll see here kind of the original light fixture on this beautiful post. I love this post. This also has pieces. You can kind of see it sort of moves around. This is gas. Now it's no longer connected because you could smell the gas when you walked into the house. So we'll get it restored, we'll get it electrified. Maybe go for a grander one. I'm not sure yet. You know, whilst I said that, you know, it's important to preserve history, it's important to bring antiques in, not everything's going to work. So if it doesn't work, don't feel hard about yourself for taking it out. But make sure it goes to a good home. Don't throw it in the trash can. You know, one thing that I really love about this staircase is its curve. That sort of, you can kind of see it in the stair here as it accentuates round. You know, I think that's beautiful, not just to have kind of that staircase that goes straight down. That's what I love about Victorians. That's what I love about old homes, mid-century, Art Deco. I think that's craftsman, to name a few. Those different elements where they really thought about conversation moments or moments just to kind of give you a point of interest. And I do love that, and kind of the intricate nature of this wood. Now, I was never a traditionally dark wood fan. I found it really hard, and this house has taught me a lot of things. I'll tell you, it's shown me a lot of things that I didn't love, that I now love, that I put in many other places. And so it's given me a lot of life, which is nice. I will point out the floors because we refinished these, not me. I did think I was going to do it, and then just didn't work out for me. I just can't do it. But originally when you walk in, and you'll see this in the part of the house that we haven't restored, because I want to show you originally what it would have looked like. This was carpet, really thick carpet, incredibly floral, you'll see that. It was just a bit much, so we pulled that up, and these are the floorboards that existed. So fascinating. These floorboards haven't seen the light of day in 130 years, and just look at them. I mean, I think they're absolutely stunning. You can see where people have heavenly walked up the stairs, you know, where many people over sort of the last century would have stepped. You can see those prints. Upstairs, you'll see where they would have put their oil lamp because there's loads of oil splatters. I love that. I think it's a real connection to the past and a real reminder of sort of the home's history, which I think is beautiful. Also scares me that people used oil lamps, but anyways, we're going to go with it. They needed light, so let's do this. Here I won't take you all the way back, but you can kind of see the length of this hallway. More Murano, a beautiful Murano mirror at the back that you can see. I love the pink. I'm a pink person. And so just having that beautiful kind of element. I'm also told that it's feng shui. Someone correct me if it is, but I'm told it's feng shui to have a mirror that kind of reflects the door. I'm probably talking complete rubbish. My mum tells me I often do, but we're going to go with it unless somebody corrects me. I'm calling it, it's feng shui. And so we have this nice little seating bench, so you can come in, and you know, this hallway's built around function. You know, it's got to be a place where you can come in easily, check yourself before you leave, because that's important before you see the day of life, and take off your shoes and kind of then go into other elements of the house. So let's go on upstairs. Now I will tell you, these stairs, I think there's 26 steps, remember 13 feet ceilings, so it's not unusual for me to get to the middle and then sit down and take a break. My English bulldog, he probably gets to a quarter, lays down, catches his breath, and then keeps going. For you all though, I'm going to make it in one go. So let's go, we'll go upstairs. So you'll see here, I mean, this really was one of the main elements of the house and why I kind of bought it. I mean, just look at this craftsmanship of this staircase. You know, all of these different spindles, it's just so delicate. Now, actually, new code, we would have to build this higher if we were to ever take it out for safety reasons, which is obviously important. We don't have kids. We don't often have kids here. And I just could never forgive myself if I even touched it because it's just so stunning. So keep coming up. Actually, the previous owner was elderly and he had a stair lift or one of those chairs. I asked him to leave it in because I think it would have been very beneficial for my life. He did not. Now I'm hoping as soon as you come up, you see this beautiful skylight because this was absolutely one of the reasons I fell in love with this house. I mean, look at it. They just don't make things like this anymore. I know I sound like a broken record, but it's absolutely stunning. The curves, the light, the stained glass. Actually, it's just a skylight, which is crazy to me. I always thought the glass was inset, but it's one big skylight that kind of comes in. But you'll see why I have so many curves in this home is this really was the foundation of the design. I love how much light comes into it. I find it just so inspiring to come out here in the morning and see this. My partner thinks I'm crazy. Often I just stand here and stare at it. Whatever, we all have our own kinks. But I love it. I think it's absolutely stunning. Once again, you'll see kind of these details that you just don't see in new builds. Sort of these curved little pieces here. I imagine it's been used for many things over the years. Telephone, maybe, if you want to sit here and speak to someone. I actually took this piece. It's another Murano piece. I sound like a broken record, but I really love Murano. And actually, I'll tell you something. Murano, which is a little island off of Venice, it's got so much more expensive to produce glass there because of gas. And so any piece that's Murano, I feel like I have this mission to save it, preserve it. And they're stunning. I mean, look at this detail in here. You can see there's three sort of mouth figures holding this gorgeous one hand-blown piece of glass. It's by Seguso, Artemide. And I think it's beautiful, and it really kind of leans into the height of this sort of architectural detail. Beautiful orchid in here. I put that in there. I water it once a week. Ice cubes. Ice cubes are your best friends with orchids. 2 ice cubes, pop them in, you're gonna be good. More little mirrors here. I kind of like this element of these different mirrors kind of greeting you as you walk straight into sort of the hallway. I love this curve of the hallway. I think it's so beautiful. So now we're going to walk through to the primary bedroom. Before we do that though, you'll kind of see more antiques. This was my partner Zach's great-grandmother's once again. It's a beautiful old sort of dining table that sort of flaps out like this. I want to keep things from the past. I want to keep things from memories of our family. And so that was really important for me to kind of have in this space. It's just a cute little table that you can pop things on. I love little boxes. I love delicate lights, and so you can kind of see that here. This painting I love, actually it's from Mexico. I got it from a little town. It's called The American Dream. You know, it sort of talks to the realities of the American dream, the guts it takes, the resilience it takes, the sheer determination. And I'm sure many people remember this iconic image. I think it was when they were building the Empire State Building, maybe not, correct me. But I'm not from here, I'm from the UK, so I'm not too clued up on the history. But I do love this idea of this sort of guy sort of falling. I don't love the idea of a guy falling, but it talks to that sheer determination, that resilience that it takes to truly achieve that American dream. And I just love that moment. I look at it every day and I think, yeah, I'm gonna go get the day. It's important for me. So coming through here, I've got my little guy here who greets me every time I walk down the stairs. This is an old painting that's had, you can't see it, Mickey Mouse ears put on him. I love the fun nature of that. I don't know what it is. I think it's really cool. And I love the idea of having a picture here. Not many people would, but I think it's great when you walk down, there's these different things that catch your eye, and I think that's really important. One of my favorite mirrors in the house, it's Art Deco, it's English, fully restored, and I just love the color that it provides. I mean, look at that shade of blue. It's just so divine and beautiful, and it's big enough that when you walk out of the bedroom in the morning, ready to get to work, you can really check out your outfit, make sure you got it all together before you head into work and to start your day. But a really beautiful piece. I can't remember how old it is, but you'll see kind of the flowers in here. This is actually a thistle, which is the national flower of Scotland. I think I'm telling you loads of facts like on Wikipedia, and I probably am not making sense. I'm probably saying the wrong thing, so correct me. But I do love all these elements of flowers. You know, as I shared, I'm really inspired by nature. It's in my name, Monsieur Bloom. And so having sort of any element, any nod to a flower is really important. And can you imagine how hard it was to kind of replicate this and create this piece? And I absolutely adore it. Okay, one final thing before you go in. This is my favorite feature of the house. It's my partner's least favorite. This little speaker system connects to the kitchen. So every morning when I come out, I have to have coffee. Everyone's going to call me a brat. I have to have coffee before I leave my bedroom. So I simply just speak into this. It goes to the kitchen. Fingers crossed he's in there. He can hear my demands. And that will stay. He wants this to go. It can't go. It's got to stay. And I think that's so cool that they had these pieces back in the day. So that's not going anywhere. Nor is my bell. I have a bell in the bedroom. That's got to stay. It's important. Now come into my bedroom. This is my first room that I fully designed in this house. I wanted it to feel peaceful, serene. And so the first thing I really want to sort of drive your attention to is the wallpaper in this little alcove. It's my absolute dream to be able to really sort of stay in here. You know, when we first came and toured this house, this was covered, don't feel grossed out, covered head to toe in nicotine. Because back in the day, what this room would have been used for is a cigar lounge. So imagine sort of, I'm sure folks have seen The Gilded Age, Bridgerton, I'm a fan too. You know, back in the day, kind of the social norms where the men after dinner would get together. And this would have been the space they did it. So they would have come in here, they would have played poker, card games, smoked cigars. They're probably turning in their graves because I sit here and I watch reality TV with a glass of champagne, but hey, times have moved on, things have changed. So it was covered head to toe in nicotine. I said to my partner, this has to be our bedroom. Let's completely transform it. And I'm really proud of where it's got to. And I think actually that's one thing you should always do, take a step back and feel pride, because it's not easy when you're in design. It's really hard work. As anyone approaches a home renovation, painting a room, a lot goes into it. So I really do take a step back in these moments and think, yeah, I love this room. Once again, this wallpaper is from Bellart Studios, which is the Swedish-based company I mentioned. It's that nature element. It helps me feel transported. I knew when we came into this room that we had to maintain this little niche here for the bed. I love it. At first I was thinking, oh, maybe I'll put a screen here or a curtain. So you really feel like you're detaching, but I'm too much of a TV and bed fan. I'm one of those people, so I had to not do that, but I really love kind of what it does. You'll see the chandelier here is from Fortuny. Actually, these came with the house. So they were originally downstairs in the living room. They're silk, they're sort of just, I love it. I think they're so delicate, these little tassels that sort of hang down, and you know, when they were in the living room, they were too small for the space, not enough light, and I thought, let's move them to the bedroom, and I'm really happy that we did, because they are just beautiful, circus-like in some senses. It helps the room feel playful. So if you come on through here, sort of this is where we spend much of our days, our nights, our mornings in bed. It's where I drink coffee. It's my dog's favorite place. He can just be high enough to see out the window and bark at every dog that goes by. So it's his favorite spot in the home. But I love this little alcove. I love these design within reach marble nightstands. They have that curve kind of on the edges here, that marble's replicated into it. You kind of see that, you know, these are mid-century. The lights are mid-century too. They're from Lawson Fenning, or at least mid-century style. And this is really the epitome of my design, which is really blending those sorts of eras and bringing it in. Okay, you want to see the coolest feature? Maybe not the coolest piece, but this is a reclining sofa, which I never thought I'd get, because I thought I'm not in my 60s yet, so I can't have one. But, you know, it's kind of cute. It's also a place that we sort of come to, and you can just, all the remotes are hidden, you pop it up, it comes through slowly. And so Zach, my partner, and I, we sort of sit here, we watch movies, we chill out, we laugh, we play Uno card games. It's our private space. And often you don't have the luxury of having a living space in your bedroom. So I really wanted to optimize it to the best of my ability. And this I love this little sofa. And so it's from Four Hands, if anyone knows that brand. You can get them on Perigold, things like that. It really wasn't expensive, but it's comfy, it's durable, and I absolutely adore it. My friends are going to laugh at me for this, because they tell me I talk about it too much. But I do, I think it's great. Another thing, and I mentioned downstairs that I love style with function. This is an example of it. This coffee table is from Jonathan Adler. Once again, adds that pop of color, that orange. It's unusual to kind of see that in here, but it's also a breakfast tray. So you just lift it up, you can take it to the bed, we can take it downstairs, put toast, coffee, things like that on it, goes right back there and kind of sits there. And that's actually how a lot of Victorians would have lived back in the day too. You know, they would have had these tables. You can find a lot of antique versions of them, pop them on there, and then you have your coffee, your tea, your biscuits, your cakes, whatever you need. And so I love that. I love the orange. I think it really warms up the space, which is important. And yeah, I love it. So this was my best find ever, this chair. And so this chair actually is very old. It's around about 220 years old. It's bone inlaid. It would have been, it fully collapses. So you can imagine kind of, these were used a lot in India for traveling, and Italy and different places like that. And so it no longer does this, but the back comes off and then it folds down to one chair. So it's almost like an antique version of our picnic chairs that we take to the park. Just a lot more ornate. I think they really did things big back in the years, but I love it. It's so delicate, it's so intricate. The patterns of the different bone inlay in here, the legs, I think it's just so stunning. And you can see this figurine here. The brass has fallen off. I'm going to get that restored, I promise. But I think it's such a moment. And I get ready a lot in here, in this room, with my friends and things like that. And so we'll sit here, we'll drink, we'll laugh, and I think it's really stately. And I have this little reindeer skin as a sort of warm piece. I got that from Iceland many years ago, 15 years ago. But it's come with me in every home. It's been on sofas, and now it's on this beautiful antique chair, which I really love. So another piece I'll show you is this fireplace. Very different from the rest of the fireplaces in the home. As I said, this was a cigar lounge. And so this is where you can kind of see it nodding to that. I love this fireplace, actually. I love a fireplace that has that built-in mirror. That's really important to me. And so I think it's stunning. I love those green tiles. I love when you can incorporate color in the most simplest forms. And so this piece, it's just so stunning. These are the things that we would never dare touch. We would build our home around them versus tear them out. Not that I judge anyone doing that, by the way. Like, your home is your home. But for us personally, we just love it. We love the idea of it. We love the stories that it tells. Actually, one of the things that I'll share is, I mentioned Harvey Milk earlier, and during the time when they were really fighting for gay rights, during the time of the AIDS crisis, Harvey Milk would come to this room. It still, over the years, was used as a meeting space, and he would talk with the former owners, because they were huge in kind of the political scene here in San Francisco, about how do we move kind of gay rights forward. And to be able to exist in a space that made my life so much better and gave me so many more rights is just such an honor. I'm getting a little bit emotional about it, but it's such an honor to be able to exist in a space and redo a space that holds so many stories that are so close to my heart. And so that's just one story I'll tell. Okay, let's move on before I start crying. I'm a crier. Mum, I told you this. So this is actually a Jake Arnold cabinet. I really love his collection with Crate and Barrel. It's actually our TV cabinet. It's a bit of a mess, don't judge me. Hey, we all have one cupboard, we're allowed. And so you can kind of see it holds everything. I mentioned downstairs, I hate clutter. And so to be able to kind of build this into sort of a TV cabinet, I've got a coffee machine in here, so I never have to go too far. Because you don't want to see me with that one cup of coffee. It's not good. I got a mini fridge, the most basic Amazon mini fridge, but hey, I love Spindrift. And so it's cool, when we're watching things, we just sort of recline, open this up, watch our movies, and I really love it. Really easy to do too. You can actually find a lot of antique cabinets that can hold a TV. And so if you're like me, that doesn't always like TVs being on display, you can kind of take this little niche. So like downstairs, you'll see over here, we have another bay window, which I love. I love to sit here and read. This is a lazy man chair. It's shearling, it's mid-century, but I love how it hugs your body. That's kind of why it's called the lazy man, is you can lay in here and truly be lazy, which I am. It's hard to leave this room in the morning when you have so many different spots. I work from here quite often. Just sitting in here, the sun kind of pulls in. These curtains actually are from 2 pages, But the curtain tracks I got from Amazon, and they are operable. So you can kind of see the height of the ceiling. I'll get the remote for you so you can kind of see. But you can see the heights of the ceilings. It can be hard to kind of pull some of those curtains closed and forward. If I can find, here we go. And so these all sort of open and are fully done. So you can do that, close it, or you can close these different ones. Anyways, you can see I'm a professional with these remotes, but they all kind of go like this, and these are fully blackout. And really easy to do in your home. Amazon, just buy them. These are 2 tracks. They open up. It makes it easy when you're in bed in the morning and you just don't want to get up. I really sound lazy. It's terrible. I promise I'm not, Mum. And so it kind of opens up, and it's really quite pretty. So final thing I want to show you in this room is 2 things. One, I said downstairs I love those tables that are an extension of the architecture. This is another beautiful one I got from an antique store here in the city, Garden Court SF. It's a beautiful French table with a ton of detailing in the wood, original marble. I just love that element that it adds to this. And of course a Murano mirror, because you know I'm obsessed. Actually, this mirror I got from eBay, and I thought I found a steal. It was $200, which is crazy, but it was in Arizona. And so I thought, well, UPS can pack and ship. Let me use UPS. They packed, they shipped, it came in 400 different pieces. And so I carefully restored every element of this. I called every supplier in Italy to get these little bars, these little nails. I got the glass remade, and it came out pretty well. I'm kind of proud of myself, actually. And not too hard to do. So if you find a bargain on eBay, an old Murano mirror, and it has a few cracks in it, don't worry about it. These parts are easy to find. Etsy, Instagram, you'll find them, they'll do them, and you can put it back together and get yourself a really gorgeous mirror. So another thing I want to show you is the cowboy in my life. This is another Dean West piece. Since Beyonce kind of started changing the world, people started buying cowboy hats, I knew I needed one. And so I love this piece. Once again, Dean West does a really good job of making things look like paintings. This is a photograph, which is pretty impressive, to say the least. And I think it's just so stunning. You know, it's interesting because I sort of had this thing where I tried to cram all the most special pieces in my life into one room, the living room downstairs. And I've really learned over time to have these special moments for myself in my private space. And I just love this piece. It's grand, it's gorgeous. I'll never look like this man, nor will I ever be able to have the ability to pull the horse up like that, but one can dream, which is nice. Final thing before we leave is the floors. I do want to show you these because you can kind of see here. These, when we first bought the house, torn to pieces. So they'd been baked by the sun. They had cigarette butts in them, which is not so nice. I never thought we could restore them, and actually we brought a company in, they fully restored them, they sanded them down, and this came out. And actually the most surprising thing was this border. So you can kind of see here, this sort of detailing in the wood. I never knew that existed because the floors were in such a bad condition that when they sanded them down, it started to appear out of nowhere. And I think that's so beautiful. I'm so glad I brought those different elements back to life. And you don't necessarily see this in floors. I know I sound like a broken record, but you don't see these details in flooring. It just makes me think about the craftsmanship of those eras where they would think, yeah, I'm going to make my life 100 million times harder by putting this border in, but look what it does to the space. It's just absolutely stunning. So I love this element. These floors will never change. They have to stay. I think it's white oak, which is super, rare to be used back in the day. And then this element of the border detailing is really beautiful. So come on through. For those who maybe follow me on Instagram, you might remember the marble light switch. You can get them on Etsy. I love them. I just think it adds a different architectural detail to a home. Very expensive though, $45 for that plate. So it's in one room. I can't afford much more. So come on through. We're going back into the hallway here, and I'm going to take you to the part of the house that we haven't necessarily renovated yet. We have 2 rooms I'm going to show you back there. But you'll see that distinct separation, and you're going to step back in time ever so slightly as you can kind of come through this room. So you go through this little door, come on through here, and this is kind of the second hallway. I love that it has a skylight in here. I think that's one of the most beautiful elements. I love the use of skylights. I think folks should use them more often. Not too hard to install, and they drown a space in light, which is really important. So look at the carpet. This was everywhere in the house. You can kind of see here it's got, sort of different blemishes in it. It feels like, I don't know, an old hotel, an old glamorous hotel. The fact that this carpet has existed for 120 years is pretty impressive. Really thick, not too much damage to it, but maybe a bit too bold for me. And carpets with animals, it's a little bit hard. So one of the elements you can see here, and I mentioned it, is the second staircase. So this staircase connects directly to the kitchen. It would have been used by the staff of the house. I love it to be used because it's just easier to access and it causes no harm. I love the historical element of having this staircase still existing within the home. And so we'll be keeping this. In fact, you're not going to see the kitchen today because it's being renovated. But eventually, if you want to come back, you can. This staircase at the bottom will form part of the kitchen. So it will really curve into the kitchen, create that nod to the past, which I really love. Let's not hide things like that. I think they're really important to kind of show. So come on through, you'll see copious amounts of gas lights in this house. You've got this one here, serves no function, but I do love it. I think, it's that nod to the past, which is really important. So we got two final rooms. This is a room I just completed, which is a bathroom. And so we have two bathrooms in this house. And this was one that did not look like this before, but it had all the good bones. And so that's what I say in design, take a step back. You don't need to pull things out, rethink them, really think deeply about them. This paneling all existed. This light existed, different elements like that. It just takes some hard work, polish it up, change the color. But I love this little bathroom. It really wasn't one that we used before, in truth. And I wanted once again to bring that nature into this space. And so you'll see more Bellot Studio wallpaper. Actually, this was a collaboration with an interior designer called Nina Takesh. Really gorgeous. You don't often see wallpaper in a bathroom, and there's a reason for that, right? In a wet space, you don't necessarily want it. But with the height of the ceilings, I thought I'd get away with it because the water doesn't really condense up there, in truth. And it's almost like you're stepping into a garden. Is there a better place to bathe kind of in there? And so I wanted to pull some of the greens in the wallpaper onto the paneling. This is a beautiful shade of sage, really kind of adding that earthy nature, that relaxing nature that you want kind of in a bathroom. I am terrible at choosing paint colors. It's my biggest worry. I should go to therapy. If there's a therapy for paint color choosing, I need to go because it's the hardest thing in life. So when this kind of dried, I was like, okay, I did it right once, which is great. And I really love it. You can see the chevron floors, and this is the first introduction of new flooring in the house that we've done. The flooring we couldn't save, and it was modern white tile, so it had no connection or significance to the past of the house. And so I added this sort of wooden floor in. It is hardwood. Hardwood's not so great for bathrooms. You have to keep drying it if you get water on it to make sure it doesn't swell. But I love the earthy nature on it. I needed kind of that natural element, that organic element in the bathroom, which I really love. If you come on through, you'll start to see kind of how the bathroom evolves. You can see the clawfoot tub. This is a common thing that you're going to see in a lot of Victorian old homes, particularly in Europe. Very traditional. I love this one for one main reason, and it's the fact that it sort of curves up. So it hugs your back. So you can lay in here. I have the breeze from the window coming in, which is really nice. And for anyone who has a clawfoot tub and wondering how to make it into a shower, these are really genius. They connect to two sides of the wall. If it's not in an alcove, you can get bars that connect to the ceiling to hang it down. And it's a really nice way to sort of turn it into a shower without having to close it in with glass and things like that, which is really important. So safe to say I spend a lot of time in this bath. Every night. I'm a bather, and I love it. And this was just restored. So we repainted it, we cleaned it up, I repolished the feet, which was really important to me. This is new, this is modern, but I do love that it sort of has that sort of paneling, detailing, those curves. I wanted to replicate that from different parts in the house. marble. I love marble. I told you this, I'm a marbleaholic. Let's coin that phrase. And so I love it. I think it's absolutely stunning. I love the old elements of the French taps. These two pieces here are original. This is a gas light. It serves no purpose. It's not a sconce. It doesn't turn on, but I just couldn't remove it. I think it's so cute. It moves around. I did repolish it. Actually, you can get some great copper cream, it's called, that takes off years of stain. This was black, and I just started rubbing it and it came out to this beautiful brass detailing with all these different bits and pieces. I have a fake tea light in it, an electric one, which offers no purpose but to make me feel more at peace. But I couldn't remove it. I think it's too stunning. So this I really couldn't pull out. Even though it's not centered with the sink, it's such a beautiful mirror. You can see kind of the floral detailing in it that's engraved. It's got age from years, and I just love those detailing. And so it also is very functional. You know, it holds a lot. It's only ever so slightly off the ceiling, and I like to stand next to the window in the morning and get that kind of fresh air in. I do think one final thing that I'd say in here is shutters can be your best friend in a bathroom. You know, so often you see windows that are covered in a film to block folks from seeing in. I'll tell you that shutters aren't terribly expensive. You can find them online. And the nice thing is when you close them, you can, you know, either fully close so no one can see in. If you turn up, no one's going to see in, but you're still letting light into the room. And so for anyone who's thinking, oh gosh, I want some light in my bathroom, do try shutters because they're so functional. You can do that, you can open them fully. So when I'm in the bath, I have them open so that I let the light in and the breeze, and I really do like that. Okay, one final thing is just this light here. It's an old gas light, which we converted to electric. Once again, I couldn't convince myself to take it out, so I left it in, replaced the shades, polished it up, and I actually really like it. So I thought, why not? Let's just leave it in. Okay, final room that I'm going to show you, and it's been a joy to show you around my house. I've absolutely loved it, is my office. So come on in. A tiny little room, not big in the slightest. And I think this is really where style meets function. You've really got to lean into this space. The first thing I'm going to, and I know I said the Murano chandelier downstairs was my favorite. This came from the UK, so I'm a little bit biased, but I do love it. It's a Barovier chandelier. Look at that green glass. It really adds a pop of color into this small space. I always think the smallest room should have the most glamour. And so that's kind of what I did here with this chandelier. You can see kind of this beautiful glass with the sharp detailing on it. That green, those shades, I just think it's so glamorous. It helps me come in here and work. So I think my boss will thank me for buying this one, because otherwise I'd just be laying in the bedroom. So come on in and I'll show you some other elements. This is a beautiful 3D sculptural piece of art. It sort of depicts a tennis match. So you can see these figurines kind of coming out from the wall. It's mid-century. But, you know, I really love what it adds to this room, that 3D element, which I think is really beautiful. I have this gorgeous shearling couch, actually from CB2, and it's really pretty. My dog sits here when I'm working, and I can sit here, I open the window, I look at this beautiful redwood tree that you can see in the distance. Fun story on the redwood tree is the owners 60 years ago, I think, maybe more, they bought a little sapling from Muir Woods home from their trip, and they thought, let me plant it in the garden, see what happens. And this is what happens. You have a huge tree in the middle of the city, but I love it. We're going to cut some parts of it just to thin it out, make sure it's not too heavy, but what a great place to work when you're kind of looking at this. You'll see my second dog down here, which is an antique ottoman. It's by Abercrombie in Kent. They did a collaboration with Liberty, which is a department store in the UK. My dog at first was very wary of it. Now they're best friends. He actually licks its face. I genuinely think he thinks it's real. That's good with me though. It keeps him distracted. But it's just a nice little element. It's beautiful leather. I love the smell of it. It still has that antique leather smell, which I really love. And it's a great place to put my feet up, look out the window and feel inspired. So this is actually my desk. As I said, in small rooms, it's really where style meets function. And so this is an antique French banker's desk. You kind of pull the drawer out here You pull these two little pieces, just like that, pull this down, and then you're ready to work. I pull my chair in over here, and kind of this is where I work, and I get to look outside. But you know, in smaller rooms, I really encourage folks to consider these sorts of solutions because it's easier. Then you don't have this big desk, you have all this space, you can meditate, do whatever you need. And then the nice thing is when you're done with work, you just hide it all away. So then ultimately, this can become a space you read, you don't see your laptop and worry about Monday. It's all locked in here until you decide to work again. So I really love this piece. The other piece I'll tell you about is this beautiful men's vanity box. So this is antique. I love it. It's gorgeous. It's a little home, and it opens up. So you can kind of see here, fully opens up and kind of has all this storage. So you can see these little boxes. It's where sort of a man would have kept his cufflinks and all those different bits and pieces. It's got an old stopwatch up here that I've got to fix that kind of tells time, but so beautiful. I love the craftsmanship of this. I think it's a Japanese vanity box. And so this is just a cool little element. You've inspired me now. Leaving it open, I might leave it like that. It's a little bit more interesting, so I like it. I am old school. I do listen to records, particularly Nina Simone, Bob Marley, those different artists. I love having this Sonos turntable because it's connected to a Bluetooth speaker, so it's not bulky, it just sits there. There's something so relaxing about listening to vinyl records, or LPs is what my dad says. I call them vinyl, but he tells me off. And so this is just such a nice little piece to have in here. And you'll see all my record collection and different elements here. I kind of built in this beautiful, this was a wardrobe. I didn't want it to be a wardrobe anymore, so we bought this about 8 years ago, this mid-century dresser. I use it for a lot of storage. There's a lot of samples in there, fabric samples, wood samples, etc. And so it kind of adds just a really functional piece that I can still display my orchid, and then another beautiful lamp to this end. So that is my office. This is where I spend most of my life, sadly. Well, not sadly, I do love what I do, but you know, sometimes things could be worse. I love that office and the way that it looks. You know, home for me, it's not a house. It's a place where I make memories and I hold memories. You know, that's why I have so many antiques in my house, from my grandmother to my partner's grandmother to our grandfather. It's because they're as much a part of our home, even though they're not here. I want them to feel a part of it. I want to walk into a room and see that table that I would see behind my grandmother. That's home to me. It's the memories, it's the people that visit, it's everything that we want it to be. And so that's it.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.